hello to everyone, and a very good morning or good afternoon wherever you are. My name is Yvonne, and I'm the Head of Student Recruitment and Marketing from ESSEC Asia Pacific. Thank you for attending our welcome webinar. It is a great pleasure to have all of you here, where you not only get to see your peers, but also key members in the core team who will play a fundamental role throughout your journey at the ESSEC Asia Pacific campus. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speakers and the agenda for today. We will start off with Professor Aarti Ramaswamy, who is the Deputy Dean of ESSEC Asia Pacific. She will deliver the welcome address to all of you. Next, we have Mr. Larry Medina, Director of Career Services, Alumni and Corporate Relations, who will introduce the range of career services support that is available on campus. Following that, we have Ms. Stella Toh, Assistant Director of Academic Affairs, who will touch on pre- and post-arrival matters. In the Careers and Academic Affairs segments, we will invite two student ambassadors with us to share their campus experience. They are Becky and Miriam. I'm sure many of you have questions about the curriculum and course requirements. Our Academic Director, Professor Enflo, will host a popular Q&A question where our speakers can address your queries accordingly. So please feel free to type your questions into the chat box and they will answer them accordingly. So a gentle reminder at this point again to activate your video camera if you have not done so that we can all get to say hi to each other. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to invite our Deputy Dean, Professor Aarti Ramaswamy, to deliver the welcome address. Professor Aarti, please.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. A very good morning, afternoon. As Yvonne mentioned, you are coming from different parts of the world, so an appropriate greeting for everyone. Before we move ahead with my segment, I do want to thank our team for putting this together, this webinar for the SMIB students. But from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the entire team at ESSEC Asia Pacific, we also want to congratulate you for having taken this step for the next step of your journey of learning with us at ESSEC. It is a fantastic opportunity that you've given yourself in an international place to join us here, and we cannot wait to welcome you to Singapore. So on the next slide, I know Yvonne is going to share with you what Singapore is all about. Certainly, I won't go into all the details about how interesting and great this place is. You know what Singapore is about, but certainly a moment to reinforce the decision to study here, because when we think about our learning journey and our participant journey at ESSEC Business School, we always say one school, multiple campuses. And it also comes with the perspective of where you are studying and why you are studying here. And from that perspective, the context becomes so important. So what you will learn in this SMIB program is going to come to life with the experiences, the cultural and the business experiences that you are going to have through your learning journey here. Of course, as you know, Singapore, #1 smart city in the world. A great place for security and order, as they say, but ease of starting a business if you have an entrepreneurial spirit. And of course, Larry and Flo will share with you more how your experiences in the classroom come to life with the interactions with the local context. But if this is a place that is new to you, it's your first time in Singapore, first time in Asia, we can tell you you're making the right choice to come here. And once again, congratulations for being admitted. It's a very proud moment and an exciting moment to start your journey with us over here. 16 years in Singapore. We have, of course, had a long history, more than 112 years on. In Singapore itself, as you know, we started in 2005 and we've grown in the past 15 years with many more programs, 1,000 students walking through our corridors, increasing the number of staff members, our faculty members who have come here. But what's really promising for us is now the next step. We're kind of at an inflection point, as we say. 2020 and beyond is our moment to reinforce our differentiation, who we are, how we can elevate our visibility, the reputation and impact of our programs, of our students, of the faculty and the pedagogical and the research experiences that you will have here. And that's really an exciting journey to start. And for you to be a part of that journey with us here is even more interesting, because you're going to come with all the interesting experiences to share in your class, with the peer learning, with the peer sharing, with the interactions with the faculty. And that is something that we very much look forward to. And we are very proud of the history, and we are even more excited and hopeful and optimistic for the future that holds for us in the coming years. A unique combination of global perspective and an Asian focus. As I mentioned earlier, we are one school, multiple campuses. What does that actually mean? We often say we give you a gateway to Africa, a gateway to Europe, and a gateway to Asia. It's not just about coming into this place, but also embedding yourself into the local context. And that comes through life with the courses that you will take, with interactions with our local community. And faculty like Anne Fleur, all our academic directors, they take the interest, they take the time and the investment to make sure that what you're learning is very much related to the real life challenges, the business challenges that companies and organizations face over here. So the cases, the examples, the interactions that you have in class are very much aligned with what's going on within the region. So yes, you will have a global degree, but also a certain selective Asian focus that allows you to put to context what you're learning. And that's a part of our DNA, as we say, with our international campus experiences, is that what you study in Cergy or what you study in Rabat or say La Défense is not exactly the same, even if you're a part of the same school. It comes to life very differently because of the people that are around you, because of the interactions that you're going to have with the local context. And so starting your journey here is a decision that you have made with a certain perspective of perhaps understanding Asia better, understanding the courses and how they relate to the business challenges over here. That's what you will start to talk about even more within your courses and within the program. So welcome again to this unique perspective that you are going to get through your SMIB program. The rankings. As we always say in ESSEC, we don't lose sleep over the rankings, but we are very proud when we are in the top rankings across the various ranking organizations that you have, whether it's Financial Times or QS or The Economist. I won't go into all the details, but it is certainly a moment of pride for us when we see that we are very much valued by the applicants. We are very much valued by the alumni, and it is through the investment. So we don't work towards the ranking, but what we do helps us in ensuring that your investment, your experiences have a certain value that you are looking for. And beyond the ranking and the numbers itself, the slide also captures the quality of the programs, the quality of the cohort and the participants that you are going to rub shoulders with in the canteen or in the corridor. So beyond the SMIB program, you're going to be a part of a much larger community of students that come from varied cultural, professional, and educational backgrounds. And as Yvonne will show you on the next slide as well, is the diversity of the students that we have in the Singapore campus. More than 40 countries being represented in the class. So the person who is sitting to your left and the person who is sitting to your right is very likely not from the same gender, not from the same nationality, and not with the same kind of cultural and educational experiences. And that's the richness that is not in the syllabus, but it comes in the interactions that you're going to have in the classroom, for which we are very proud of that international experience, which is a key differentiator of ESSEC APAC compared to our local schools that we have here. So welcome again, and thank you for bringing the diversity that you represent into the classroom, because especially for the degree that you are going to have, which is on international business and management, it is absolutely fantastic to have that international perspective and to have the cross-cultural exchanges, which is facilitated also by our multinational faculty and experts who are based in Singapore. And of course, Anne Fleur is based in France, but I can tell you, among all the people who are in O, distance doesn't mean much at all for Anne Fleur. She takes all the time and effort to ensure that she knows you as individuals. She knows each of the alumni who have graduated from all the different programs. So I've been in Anne Fleur's position where I was an academic director in a different part of the world, and it takes a lot of effort. And I very much I take the moment to appreciate Anne Fleur as well for the investments that she has made and the relationships that she has built over the years with our team here and also the students. So our faculty are in charge of different programs, and they come with their diversity as well, with their cultural experiences, the business experiences that is, you can see that coming across through the pedagogical innovation, the research projects that they have, that you will learn about through your classes as well. So a big thank you to all the faculty and our academic directors who are based, who are invested in our programs. And ultimately, the other pillar that anchors who we are in ESSEC Asia Pacific is our alumni. Just a snapshot, we have over 500 alumni in Singapore, and Larry has the latest count, depending on how you count the number of alumni. He's looking at me with a stern face over there to check if I have the numbers right. But this is just a snapshot of some of our ambassadors of the school who have truly invested in the school. And you can see that they represent different organizations, different industries who are in different positions. And perhaps one day we will see your face over here, so that when we talk to the future generations of the SMIB program, we are able to showcase where our graduates have moved on and how they are continuing to have a relationship with the school. And this is a part of our community here that we very much value. And it is through the investments of our alumni, through the connections that we have with them, that we are allowed to be relevant. We stay relevant. We know what's really working in the industry. We know how to pivot and how to shift gears within the programs, the conversations we have. And to that point, just a snapshot of some of the companies that we are partnering with for many reasons, right? For career services, for looking at the chairs that we have, or any executive education that we provide, and also the consulting projects, which you will be very much embedded in as a part of your learning journey. Because as I mentioned, learning by doing is our pedagogical philosophy, where it's not just about listening, but it's also about participating. And your peer learning is as much important as what you're going to hear from any faculty or speaker, is how much you learn from each other. And that comes to life through these projects. And Yvonne, if you go to the next slide, just as an example of some of the companies we partnered with last year for the capstone project or course projects, that is one of the things that I remember as very memorable experiences that our students take away. But yeah, the courses are great. The interaction with the faculty is great. Living in Singapore is another memory that you will have. But also these very intense projects are a part of your learning and the memories that you will take away from APAC, as well as your teams here in Singapore. Last but not least, I do want to share, before I pass the floor to Yvonne and then to Anne-Fleur, is what has this last year meant for us? Certainly, I don't have to go into the details of how interesting, quote unquote, the past year has been. We have worked, traveled, learned, interacted, related in a very different way. And we have learned a lot as well as a school, because this is the first time for us that we face a challenge such as COVID-19. What does it mean to learn? How do we continue to build the trust and have that sense of participant experience that we want to give our students? So our entire teams have been invested in adapting ourselves with pre-arrival support. A part of the webinar is also part of that pre-arrival support. And you will hear more from the teams in the coming weeks. Maximizing the campus experience. What does it mean to learn and study within the campus here, within the safety regulations? And we've tried our best. Whenever we get an opportunity, we try to ensure that all the events are able to happen. And if they cannot, we move them online. But last year, we've looked at the data on teaching as well as these experiences. Students very much appreciate the fact that if we were to do it in person, we would probably have a smaller network of individuals who are able to travel and come. But because we moved online, we really expanded as well the kind of people that we are able to connect to beyond the shores of Singapore to give you a certain perspective. So there are pros and cons, but we want to ensure that we have the learnings continuing with the digital transformation that we have invested in all the classrooms. So we are able to teach in any format. The faculty are able to teach in any format, tremendous amounts of investments in training and learning, and even for the students to give them the support to say, hey, this is a different way to learn. Perhaps you're used to that in the past year with the different interactions that you've had before joining the program. At the same time, we continue to support you to ensure that the dual teaching format that we will have is as best as possible to have a great learning experience for you. So on that note, a great thank you to our team and to Yvonne and Anne-Fleur and to Larry and Stella and others and to the student ambassadors who are here, who are going to share with you more about the program. And once again, heartfelt congratulations. We cannot wait to welcome you to Singapore. Welcome again.
Thank you very much for the uplifting address, Professor Ati. I shall now invite Mr. Larry Medina, who is the Director of Career Services, Alumni and Corporate Relations, for the next segment. Larry, please.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne. So I would also like to say congratulations and really look forward to seeing you in Singapore. Right now, I'm going to go through a bit about career services and the types of services that we provide. But I'd like to kick off and just say that this program is special because Professor Ann Floor does a lot of engagement with speakers for career services and career support. So you get a double dose actually in this program, quite a bit of support around careers, both coming from Professor and also coming from the career services team. So our team in Singapore is a team of 5. We have one dedicated support person for each of the programs. And for your program, it's actually Ting Ting, who is the second from the right in this photo right here. The thing that I'd like to point out is that we rebuilt this team about 3 years ago, really invested in bringing people in. It's really important to have experience, a broad range of experience at career services, executive search, and at corporate settings as well. So the team is very experienced. We all bring, like Professor Ann Floor, we all bring quite a bit of the network from Singapore, regional Asia perspective. Next slide, please. Okay, career services in a snapshot. These are the things that we provide to you once you arrive. Is career talks. And so I already mentioned that the program itself will have a lot of guest speakers, but throughout the year, we also bring in quite a number of guest speakers. For me, it's important to have variety across various industries. We know, especially with SMIBs, usually consulting is very much of interest, sometimes luxury, sometimes healthcare. But really across the entire school, we try to bring in a variety of speakers that will be interesting to students. One-to-one coaching. So as I said, you'll have a dedicated coach, which is Ting Ting. One of the good things about being small is we're very accessible. We bump into students every single day. So you'll be able to set up an appointment for 45 minutes or an hour to really talk about your internship search, any questions you have. We can work through that with you. Career workshops, I'll go through that in the next slide in a bit more detail. Interview preparation. So we always say, as soon as you get an interview lined up, please schedule a mock interview with us. We can give you advice about anticipating what types of questions might come up, give you a chance to practice your answers, and give you feedback. Company visits, I'll talk a bit about that a bit later. And then career events. So for your program, for all postgraduate programs, we do 2 career fairs a year. One in the first week of November and the second in the first week of March. Typically, these are physical events. Obviously, last year with COVID, we did virtual career fair, which actually went really well. But I'm hoping that with vaccine rates getting up, et cetera, that hopefully we'll be able to do physical. But if not, we'll do our career fair virtual again next year. We'll basically calibrate depending on what's happening within Singapore. Before I switch slides, I also want to point out, because we do something for SMIBs that we don't do for all the other programs. We do a dedicated mentoring program for your program. We bring in some of our alumni that volunteer to be mentors for the entire year. We'll have a mentoring kickoff party that we do in November timeframe, and then you'll have access to your mentor for the rest of your time in Singapore. Next slide, please. Okay, workshops. So again, at orientation, we'll go through just another overview of career services, but more practical, how to find us, how to connect with us. So just some practical, things about how do you engage with us over the next year. Career discovery. So what would you like to do? What's the market? Really understanding yourself and the market. Resume and cover letter writing, so more tactical tools and how do you structure your resume. Also, each region is slightly different, so with a bit of an Asia focus. Brand building, which is usually LinkedIn. That also ties to the final workshop, which is around networking as well. Networking is very powerful. We encourage you to reach out to alumni. Again, the SMIB alumni in Singapore and in Asia is very strong, very welcoming. and also the broader ESSEC alumni base. If you reach out to them, more than likely they'll say yes to a virtual meeting, to a coffee, to really help you, give you information about what they're doing, their company, etc. And then again, internship search and interview skills as well. So a variety of workshops to help you start thinking about what you'd like to do and then how to implement your internship search. Next slide, please. Okay, professional talk. So full disclosure, obviously these photos are pre-COVID. However, last year we had a lot of virtual, but we also had some blended as well, where somebody would be in the classroom, obviously with safe distancing, and students were there as well. Again, we'll play that by ear. But what I really want you to take away from this slide again is the variety. We're just looking to bring in interesting speakers with different backgrounds in a variety of industries to really give you full exposure. Next slide, please. Again, company visits. Again, I'm hoping we'll have more luck with that in the coming year. Obviously, Singapore is really exciting. One thing that's happened over the last 5 years is a lot of innovation centers have popped up here. You see Visa here, but there's DHL, Schneider Electric, and on and on and on. There's quite a number of innovation centers that are quite popular to visit in Singapore. Next slide, please. Okay, networking with alumni. So again, there are dedicated SMIB alumni events and interfaces that will happen. We also do across our entire alumni base in Singapore as well. And then obviously in the virtual world now, we get more and more alumni speaking from, say, India, Japan, throughout the region, et cetera, as well. I did make a little bit of a funny face with Artie's comment, because our alumni network, our alumni numbers in Singapore are actually quite dynamic, and it's somewhere between 400 and 500, but it's actually probably closer to 400. Okay, a bit about the trends in Singapore. And this current SMIB batch has done quite well with internships this current internship period. But what we see is a lot of focus on what I call T type of positions, where a bit of understanding about technology. Obviously, disruption and everything digital is very, very hot right now, but layering that with the general business acumen, for example, so the marketing, the operations, finance, human resource skills, but along with the understanding of what's happening from a digital perspective as well. You don't have to be a programmer, but just speaking a bit of the language. And obviously, ESSEC is focused on providing enough of the background that you would need from understanding what's happening from a digital economy. And then obviously layering that with the ESSEC brand name and the overall business acumen skills is really in demand right now. Next slide, please. Okay, my final slide, and then we'll talk with our student ambassadors a bit. Okay, I've already mentioned data and digital and technology. We also see a lot of opportunities with startups. Singapore has grown in to be a hub for startup activities. We're close to Launchpad. Our campus is close to Launchpad, maybe half a kilometer away. So we have a lot of startups that like to recruit our students. And then I always mention languages because I think it's a real strong point for ESSEC. Obviously, Southeast Asia languages, but I always say all languages are good languages. We see demand for North Asia languages. We also see demand for European languages, because European multinational corporations like somebody that can speak the home country language, and it helps with both cultural understanding and communication. Okay, that's it for me. Okay, so what I'd like to do, I'm really happy to have Miriam and Becky both here. And so just want to ask you a few questions. And I think what I'd like to ask you now is, I know you both are doing internships, and maybe if you could tell us a little bit about your internship. I know you probably just started, so it may be a little early, but maybe just give us a bit of highlights and how are you doing, and are you enjoying the internship so far? So why don't we start off with Becky?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Becky, and I'm working as a digital account manager at Niji, which is a digital consulting firm in Singapore. So the company started 20 years ago in France, and then it mainly develops the European and Middle East market. And early last year, the company just opened an overseas office here in Singapore. So we are still in a starting phase. And I had the opportunity to work as an account manager to develop the business development activities here in Singapore and in APAC region in wider sense. So it's a very exciting and enjoyable experience to me because I like to communicate with different people and I like to explore the potential opportunities in the business market. So this is really a good fit of the job functions to me. And as Larry mentioned, digital or digitalization is like a key topic here in Singapore. So everything's going on very fast and a lot for me to learn. So it's really enjoyable.
Okay, great. Miriam?
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I cannot put my video on. It's not really working. Just to present myself real quick. So I did the SMIB program as well this year. And I've been able to find an internship at Johnson & Johnson that I did for a couple of weeks. And I had a little change. I have been able to find another opportunity in the Middle East. So that shows how the SMIB program has helped me to find different opportunities, whether it was in Asia or in the Middle East. So I started my internship at Johnson & Johnson in the HEMA department since I'm a pharmaceutical student. So I've been working with the market access team in Singapore for about 3 weeks. But then thanks to the network as the team mentioned, I have been able to find a full-time job opportunity in the Emirates. So in Abu Dhabi, in a other pharmaceutical company called AbbVie. So it's another American company that are more specialized in innovative product and in immunology and stuff. So it's more a sales position, and it's a field-based position based in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So I haven't started yet, so it will be in August, but it was a process that have been really supported and helped by the ESSEC career team. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miriam.
You're welcome.
So I think one more question. I'm conscious of time, and I'll reverse the order. I'll let Miriam go first this time, but maybe tell us a little bit about your internship search. Like, how did it go? Was it difficult? I know the market is much better than it was last year, but I just like to kind of hear about your journey and how did you find it getting into Johnson & Johnson and now your current role.
Basically, we had a talk with one of the director of Johnson & Johnson, who did ESSEC before, and she was French, and so she did a talk to us to the promotion, and she presented her job and what does she do at Johnson & Johnson, and I just contacted her at the end of the talk. I sent her an email telling her, okay, I'm a pharmaceutical student. I'm open to any opportunity at Johnson & Johnson in Singapore. So if you have anything, please let me know. I would love to meet her in person as well because I was based in Singapore at that time. So I thought it was easier to do that. And kindly, she responded to me telling me that, okay, there's an opportunity. A colleague of mine is looking for an intern, so I can help you with that. And then I have passed the interviews, and I have been working for a couple of weeks with the other director for cardiological product, and also for the person that I had a talk with at ESSEC. So she was part of the team as well. So we've been working together. And how did it go? So it was very multicultural. So ESSEC really helped me because they really prepared me that well because we had group works and I was part of a group. I was part of a team, of a regional team. So I was working with Singapore, with Taiwan, with Australia. So it was very multicultural and different backgrounds as well. So I was kind of prepared with that because I've experienced this throughout the year with group project at ESSEC. So it was really focused on the reimbursement strategy, the pricing strategy of pharmaceutical product, and yeah, so that was very a very learning experience on a personal side, but also on a technical side.
Okay, great. Okay, Becky.
So I found my internship on ESSEC's career portal. So I know that the job is an opportunity exclusive for ESSEC students. So I was very excited, and I submit my application immediately. So after I got the interview opportunity, then I approached the career coach to revise, to prepare for my interview and to sharpen my interview skills. And lastly, I got into the company. So it's very thankful to the career team support, and also the skills that I acquired through the programs and also the projects that I did.
Okay, great. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Miriam. Okay, Yvonne, I'll make sure I don't run over too much. I'd like to hand it back to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Larry. Thanks for your kind presentation, and also to Becky and Miriam for sharing your internship experience. That was really insightful. Allow me to do a short commercial break for Larry here. For those of you who would like to gain a head start in planning your career options, Larry will be hosting a career workshop on the 31st of July on how to secure global internships. So do sign up for it via our campus update email that will be sent to you early next week. When it's closer to the date, chances are you tend to remember it better. I shall now invite our next presenter, Ms. Stella To, who is our Assistant Director of Academic Affairs, to talk about pre- and post-arrival matters. Stella, please.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you, Larry. I would like to echo my colleagues and congratulate you on your admissions to the SMIB program. Obviously, as much as we would also like to thank you for choosing ESSEC as part of your academic journey, it is also a good time for us to share with you the team that will be supporting you through this journey. So on this very brief organization chart, you see Kent here. She's the Director of Academic Affairs, and myself, that's just below her. So between Kentia and myself, we oversee all the programs, and we make sure that the team comes together to give you a positive experience despite the current situation. Right? Most of you will be familiar with the pre-arrival email address by now, as well as Audrey. Audrey has put in a lot of effort helping you with your passport and your SOLA application. And Audrey is amazing. She will be staying with you on this journey until you safely arrive in Singapore. You will also soon be quite familiar with Tanya. Tanya is the Senior Manager for Campus Experience. Tanya is also supporting your accommodation requirements for your search before you enter Singapore, as well as to help you if you have any issues when you are searching for accommodations in Singapore. Of course, he's also the one that injects that element of fun when you are on campus and where you are putting in your time and attention to your studies. Right? A very important person, that's Noelle. If you have not heard from her yet, you will hear from her soon, as she's now preparing your class schedule, and she'll be sharing that with you nearer to the program start date. So Noelle is your program manager, and she will soon be your primary contact once the program starts on the 21st of September. Next, please. It is a complex time for all of us, and even more so for you, as all of you are now working with us. And we thank you very much for responding timely to us when we ask for your passports, when we ask for you to complete your e-form 16 form on SOLA. So that's the first step for you to come towards the ESSEC campus, which is on the right. Now, if we go into the second step, obviously during a time like this, insurance becomes a very important element, as it was before. And this year, there is an additional requirement, which is why Audrey has to spend time validating each of the insurance certificate that you all sent to us. And we thank you very much that once you are ready with your insurance, you will do some research. And once you are ready, you will send us the certificate for Audrey to validate. Okay, so that's part of our job in keeping you safe and making sure that you are ready for your journey in Singapore. In the times of the pandemic, Singapore has started a new process called entry approval, which started from last year. So since last year, September, the Singapore team has been supporting students in gaining an entry into Singapore. So the student pass application that you see on your left as the first step, that is as good as your student visa. That student visa is a necessary document for you to enter Singapore. However, the date that you can enter Singapore is determined by the entry approval. So as you all see from a set of infographics we've been sharing with you via our EDM, this would be the step 4, where you have your IPA, where you have your insurance cert validated by us, and then you'll be ready to go on to apply for your entry approval. Okay, thank you. When everything's done, you will enter Singapore, complete a stay home notice. So SHN is the term used by Singapore. It means stay home notice, and very simply is for a maximum of 14 days, you will spend your time in a 4 to 5 star hotel that is allocated by the Singapore government. When all is done, we definitely look forward to welcoming you on the ESSEC campus. Okay. So when you're on campus, how does classes look like? For the new academic year, the objective in your class scheduling is to maximize your on-campus experience, as Professor Arti mentioned in her opening speech. And how do we do that? We leverage on the current requirements as well as the experience from the year before. And this experience is from a pool of resources, how the students have given us feedback last year about how they feel, as well as the experience and feedback from the prof. So we put that together, we put our head together and see what is the optimized schedule we can work for you in the new academic year. Obviously, the situation is evolving, as we all know, and there will be safety measures that you will have to respect on campus. This will all be shared with you before you come onto the Singapore campus. The current state of things tells us that we are ready for a dual teaching mode. Again, something that we are familiar with by now. In the past 1 year, all of us have had some sort of experience with the dual teaching mode. And that would mean that there is a possibility that you will be attending classes both on campus and sometimes online. So it really depends on the student numbers as well as the safety measures and the classroom capacity. But where possible, we will make sure that you get 100% on-campus experience. Obviously, there are also lecturers who may not be able to enter Singapore because of travel restrictions. And if that is the case, it would be an online class. And this will all be reflected accordingly on your schedule. We know that everybody is going through an interesting time. And when my colleagues started saying your good morning and good afternoon, you're all living in different parts of the world. And that brings us to the possibility that each of you may have individual situations that will arise because of that. And if you have individual situations, you will write an email to us at the pre-arrival mailbox, and we will engage you on that topic. Okay, next please. Thank you. Besides this welcome webinar, thank you to colleagues in the marketing and recruitment team. The academic affairs team also hosts webinars. You may have already received an invitation to us. You may have already received an invitation from myself for the entry approval webinar on the 21st of July. So that's in 2 days' time at 4 p.m. Singapore time. And I look forward to you joining me in that webinar. Myself will be presenting. I will walk through with you the details of the entry approval application. And this webinar is specific at the program level, so that it is customized for you to better understand the dates that is relevant to you. Be prepared with your questions for that webinar. We do anticipate that, or we do enjoy active discussion with you during that webinar and for you to give us questions and feedback on the process. Okay. Tanya also hosts a accommodation webinar. The first one that he hosted was on the 15th of July. And I believe the replays as well as the slide deck will be ready to be shared with you. But I also understand that Tanya is planning for the next one closer to date. So do keep a lookout in your email. Tanya will also send that invitation to you for his next accommodation webinar. Next, please. This is an interesting slide, and this is only possible because of the SHN process in Singapore, the stay home notice. So when our students went through SHN, and I'm sure this brings fond memories to both Becky and Miriam. It is how you make use of the time. And ESSEC will also try and put in activities for you. For both, you may have online sessions, you may be attending online classes even, depending on when you enter Singapore. But Tanya will also arrange for activities such as yoga and some exercises that you can do in the hotel room. Okay, so next please. While I leave this slide in the background for you to read about the experiences and the feedback that students share with us from their experience last year, I would like now to invite Becky and Mariam, maybe Becky first, to share with us about your experience on the dual learning mode last year. Becky?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So last year we are in the dual learning mode. So sometimes we have the chance to go on campus, to have on campus class, and some we will have Zoom class online. So in class, it's as usual, we have a lot of interactions and presentations, and even in online Zoom class, we still adopt very interactive teaching methods, because our professors are really adapted to using the online tools, such as like initiating competitions during the class time to test our understanding of a new topic. And we always use the Zoom breakout rooms for small group discussion and for project preparation. So even during online class, we are still able to interact with the professors and classmates constantly.
Thank you. So looking back at the past 1 year, Becky, if there's a tip you can leave for your fellow classmates here, what would that be? How can they maximize that dual learning experience?
So first of all, I think it will be the hardware, like the network, microphone, camera, that you have to prepare well. And then sometimes it can be tiring to sit in front of the computer for the whole day. So probably you can do some stretching during the break. And more importantly, I think is that we have to be attentive in class, participate actively, and you won't feel like sleepy or tired easily.
Very good advice. Thank you very much. Mariam, did you have a similar experience, or did you feel different from Becky?
It was pretty similar. I mean, we had the same classes, so pretty similar experience. But regarding, like, just to mention for the ASHN, I know it might be like a bit scary because it's very new, and maybe you have not experienced that before, but it's not that hard to, like, it's not that bad to stay like 15 days like in a hotel, especially because you have ESSEC classes as well, like during the ASHN. And honestly, that what helped me to literally like survive, because you occupy your time. So you have a schedule, you have the Zoom classes, you kind of meet your the other student online as well. And what we used to be doing as well is that we used to have classes online on the ASHN, and then afterward we used to call each other to meet everyone and stuff. So we try to make this experience more enjoyable in that way. And then during the year, we kind of knew each other before. I mean, I kind of knew like before certain people, and as Becky mentioned, it's kind of hard to stay focused during the whole day. But usually you are with roommates that are also part of ESSEC. I mean, that was my case. So I was with my roommate, and we were together, and it was some sort of a little class because we were at home, and we used to follow the classes online all together. So in that way, it was more enjoyable, and we would have stayed like more focused. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed, SHN would have left a deep impression on all of you, and all students, and we are quite happy about that. All students told us that they made very good use of that time. Some of them even found their housemates during SHN. So Mariam, is there a tip that you can leave for your peers here on how they can maximize their experience in dual learning?
I mean, you will have to maximize. You will have to adapt yourself to this type of learning, because not only would it help you, but also it's mandatory now, especially at work, because my internship at Johnson & Johnson at the beginning, it was also online. You know, I was not able to go on the field or meet the team in person and everything. So I was already used to this by having classes online. So and how to get used to it and how to maximize it. I mean, there's no way, like you just have to do the classes. You just have to do it and stay focused and ask as much as so many questions as you have. Just be really focused, just be into it, so that you don't feel as much as a burden, I would say. And yeah, take some breaks and really stay focused, put on your camera, participate. It will pass way faster and you will be more productive in that way, and it will be way more rewarding at the end of the day, and it will be helpful for the career, for their professional life, because now it's half the time is going to be online. So it's a good preparation and it's a good start for their professional career.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Becky.
Welcome.
And Mariam. I think this is very good sharing from the two of you who have experienced it. So you've heard from us and you've heard from your classmate. I shall now pass you back to Yvonne.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you, Miriam and Becky, for the wonderful sharing. Good to know that your SHN experiences were great and that you had really good time and insightful learnings from the online learning. We have now come to the Q&A segment, so I shall now invite Professor Enflop, the Academic Director of the SMIB program, to facilitate this segment. Professor, please.
Hi everyone, very happy to see you all today, even if I already saw some of you already past webinars or in interviews. So the way we are going to handle this Q&A segment is basically you can ask your question in the discussion area. Okay, you write your question, and then depending on the nature of the question, I or someone else will take it. So do we have a first question maybe? No, we were very clear, girls and guys. Sorry, Larry.
We do have a question from Roshan, which I was actually typing my reply halfway, but maybe I could just verbally reply to this. So Roshan, thank you very much for that question. It's probably the same question on everybody's mind. Indeed, it is mandatory to have a valid insurance when you enter Singapore. That is a requirement from the government. However, because of the evolving situation now, and for SMIB, you have yet to start on the entry approval application process. This is something that will continue to update you and see how we can adjust the dates to adapt to the situation. Okay. If you have a specific or individual situation that you would like us to advise on, you could send us an email to the SG pre-arrival mailbox. Okay, I hope that helps with your planning at this time.
Okay, so there is a question then from Likun. I wonder if we could start the refresher course before the program starts. Well, I don't know how you could do that, simply because it's a course. So a course means a professor teaching you. So by definition, the moment you have a professor in front of you, the program starts. Okay, so no, it's a no. The program is going to start with refreshing courses, yes. However, as for the other ones, I send you some recommended readings, like homeworks to do during the summer. Most of you already got that. If you didn't, it's normal. I do that manually on a weekly basis. So I will do it this week for those who got admitted and who paid their deposit last week. Okay, so there is a kind of a delay. Alors, Antoine, can you remind us the key date of the master? For instance, the beginning, when do we have to be in Singapore? So the beginning, I don't want to say a mistake. I think it's on the 21st of September. Yes, yeah, 21st of September. And well, because of the 2 weeks of quarantine, SHN thing you have to do, we recommend you reach Singapore at least 2 weeks before. so that you can start your courses physically on campus. So I would say arriving at the beginning of the month of September is a good idea. However, as we all know, it depends on when you get your visa, when you get your entry approval, and everything that Stella has explained already. Where can we get the calendar? So we don't share the calendar before induction because this is the way we do it. So on the induction, your vacation dates and the end date of the program. However, you may plan that the end date of the program should be mid-May 2022, okay, which means that you can start your internship for those who need an internship, which is a minority of you, because most of you are going to do the Asian Strategy Challenge. And if you do the Asian Strategy Challenge this year, you don't need to do an internship to validate the program. However, you are allowed to do one, okay? So if you want to do one, it's possible. I will sign the contract, but it's not compulsory as a program requirement. Alors, Liane, if we have to adapt to the online format due to personal situations and there is a 12-hour time difference, is it mandatory to join every single class, or we can get recordings of the class? So first of all, Liane, there is no personal situation adaptation. They are one-to-one situations that the school is going to decide. So it's not you who decides you go online. Okay, it's based on external situation, not personal, external situations, like the visa, for example, or the entry approval, that you are online. You cannot choose to be online. Second point, you are supposed to be in the classroom from, if I'm correct, it's 6 a.m. If it doesn't change, last year it was 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And that's it. So if your time difference doesn't make it possible for you to be here because it's 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. in your country, then yes, you will get access to a recording. However, please note that both Marianne and Becky, they have shared the fact that the courses are very much interactive, that professors try to keep this interaction online. Even in dual format, we try to include people who are online. So if you just watch a recording, you lose all that. Oh, there is someone with a nice radio. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Stella, for the precision. 6 a.m. to midnight, according to the country you are in. Thank you, Stella. So it's even more than what I thought. Another question I have is about the vaccine. Is it easy for us, for instance, to arrange appointment to get vaccinated at the current situation? This I have no idea. Maybe Stella, you can.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Anne-Fleur. I can take this. So currently, vaccination is not considered in your entry approval, whether you are fully or partially vaccinated, or the requirements will apply to everybody the same way. Singapore has indeed opened up the vaccination for non-Singaporeans, which means, yes, you can make an appointment to get your vaccination in Singapore. So that also depends on the timeline. What we advise students, or what we suggest to students, is that if vaccination is available in your country and available to you, it may be a good idea to get vaccinated before you travel. So again, it depends on the situation and the country that you are residing in. Thank you.
Alors, do we have orientation induction for students who can't arrive in Singapore? Yes, induction and orientation will be done in dual format, of course. I mean, I might not be able to be here for induction. Honestly, I was hoping, I'm not sure. As I say, I still have my suitcase ready at home in case I can, but it doesn't look so promising. So I myself might be in a dual format for the induction. Of course, don't worry. I mean, for people who can't arrive in Singapore, we make it very much possible for you to be included in the cohort. Also, the networking sessions, I mean, everything, you are really embedded as part of the journey. you will not feel excluded from the group or from the courses. We pay very much attention at that. Usually there is a question about the professors, I mean, whether they all teach physically or not. That was already touched upon by one of my colleagues, but most of the professors are locally based in Singapore. I even changed a couple of professors, in anticipation, so that we really have people based in Singapore. So those people usually, last year they didn't have any problem with teaching physically. However, there are a couple of colleagues who are not locally based, like myself, and we have to teach myself, and we have a professor, Stefan. Stefan, he was based in Panama, and now I think he's going to be relocated in France. Stefan is a permanent professor at ESSEC, Stefan Groschel. He's an expert really in his field, so we need him, which is about sustainable leadership. And last year he was teaching from Panama, Singapore. So he was the one with the worst time difference, I would say, not for the students because the hours were Singaporeans, but him, I think he was teaching only the night. Antoine, what are the COVID restrictions in Singapore? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to tell you the COVID restrictions for now because it's kind of changing on a weekly basis as here in Europe. You have a lot of information which are shared on official websites. Maybe Stella can share with you the website address, where you can check all restrictions. And the school is very good. I'm sorry I speak instead of Stella, but I know that by heart because I'm in all the conversations and all the emails. So the school is going to communicate with you on a regular basis about any COVID restrictions. Okay, so you are not lost about that. Honestly, I don't know how next year is going to be, but I must say that for the past year, the past academic year, the Singapore-based students were the luckiest ones as compared to those in France who were locked half of the year. In Singapore, everything was on campus. They could even have a couple of events respecting, the size limits of the groups and, things. But I mean, it was possible to organize events. While in Sergi, everything was, no event was possible until the end of the year. So. I think the next question is going to be for you, Sheila.
Thank you, Flo. I see that a lot of you are very excited about entry approval, and that is good news for me. We are happy that you're all excited and preparing your journey into Singapore. And that is also why we especially host a entry approval webinar on the 21st of July. Maybe you could spend more time in this session to ask about other topics from other colleagues, but for entry approval, these are really good questions that we can spend a more in-depth conversation on the 21st. Even if you cannot join us on the 21st, there will be webinar replays and the slide deck that you can go through. And as Flo rightly pointed out, some of these are really huge questions at this point of time. Singapore is wonderful. It's a small country, and the government could change regulation, giving us 1 to 2 days notice. So I would still encourage you to join us. All the questions that you ask here are actually part of the agenda for the entry approval webinar. Okay.
Yvonne is a time gatekeeper. She is.
So you see how precious.
One more question.
Yeah, you see how precious your questions are. Those that we can take in the entry approval webinar, keep it for that session.
From an academic director perspective, I would like to say something about the entry approval. Because in Roshan, your question, you say, should we even apply? You have to know that from an academic director perspective, I want to make sure that you have tried to come to Singapore and that you didn't manage to come. And that's the reason why you can go online. Otherwise, you won't be granted the online access, okay? Because I don't know if you made any effort, and we don't want people not to try just to remain at home, or, you know, to try to do the program free online. This is not the philosophy of ESSEC, and this is not the philosophy of this program, which is very hands-on. So please try and get denied, okay? And if you get denied, we will arrange things for you. Very important. In my admission letter, it is said that the master will start on August 16. However, you said earlier on September 21st. The courses are going to start on September 21st. I think the date might be here to help you apply for entry approvals and that kind of things. I'm not sure, but maybe it's a trick. I don't know. I have no idea. I know in Sergi they put this date of 16th, so maybe it's because the letter is standard, because there is a kind of welcome week in France. But I don't know, Stella, do you know the date? Why it's 16th of August?
I'm not sure why it's 16, but what I understand is the date that you get in your admissions letter usually is a broader date, which is the planning at the school level. However, I believe in the letter, there's also a statement that says about your individual program start date. And thank you, Landry. It is correct. It is the 21st of September for SMIB program.
Yes. Courses start on the 21st. Then, yes. As we said, it's better to arrive earlier to do your stay-home notice. Roshan, do we need physical books for any of the courses, or are they mostly digital materials? We are in a huge environmental transition at ESSEC, so we do not encourage physical materials by the professors. However, I myself think that books sometimes can be useful. It won't be compulsory to buy a book, if this is your question. You have a lot of books which are available in our library on the campus, so you will be able to borrow the books. And most of our materials are also available in a digital format because our library is fully digitalized, so you can have access to the books online. For the other documents, like the case studies, the readings, professors are going to share that with you. And as I said, we are in a transition towards 100% digital tools. And I think COVID accelerated that because it was forbidden to give paper to people. So at the end of the day, most professors switch to digital materials. You can print on campus, however, and you have a printer which is available. You can have access to that with your student card, and you have some credits for printings. But as I said, we encourage printing when necessary, not when interesting.
Okay, I see that there are no more questions left. Thank you, everyone. We have come to the end of this welcome webinar. So should you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact us via the email addresses shown here. Lastly, a big thank you to all our speakers as well as student ambassadors for their precious participation today. And we look forward to welcoming everyone on campus. Thank you and take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.